Hello, I am Doug Mumo, Director of Education with MPG, and welcome to our PN400 installation demo. Let's get started. In this demo, we'll show you the incredibly easy steps to install PN400. Okay, before we begin with the installation, I always like to have the architecture talk so you understand exactly what we're doing here. And I do that by starting with the two types of data that's on your systems. One, we have IBM collection services data. That's running all the time, all day long. And usually it's in 15-minute intervals, but some systems have it down to 5 minutes. The data that we'll be dealing with in the PN400 install is the MPG historical data. That is, the PN400 process takes that IBM collection services data and creates the MPG historical data. That's the install process that we're working on today. Let's begin our PN400 installation. Again, it's incredibly easy. So the first thing I like to do is I kind of like to show you what you're creating. What are you installing? So let's look at this PN400 host code. So I just bring up the menu option, which is go mpglib/perfnav. And you can see the four menu options. This is the host code. And there's contact information. There are the jobs that we're actually going to help us deal with the historical data. There's customization screen. And then there's performance navigator status, which is I refer to as the one-stop shopping as far as understanding your historical data and the like. So that's what we're installing. So the first thing I do is we have to get out of it. Get back to a normal command line so you can begin the install. Now we simply click on the client, and here we do the installation from the file command and then install PN400. Click OK here, and these are what I refer to as the 5 tabs. Very, very neat third-party install that Joe made. It's probably one of the simplest third-party installs I've ever seen in our industry. So what you'll do in the installation process is simply go along these tabs. So the first thing I do is I click on tab 1 and I want to acquire the code from our website. So I'll do that. I'll click on the button here, and then a little window pops up. Basically, where do you want to save the code to? You can see I created just a little temp folder. We'll click save, and you can see via the status bar that we're downloading the code. Very, very cool. There, you can see we had a successful download of the code. Now we just go to tab 2, and you can see here in the notes that we basically put this AS400 command in the clipboard. We're creating a save file. So now we just merely go over to the 5250 screen, and you can see this is going to be the pattern. Tab 5250 screen, tab 5250 screen, and so on. So when you get to your 5250 screen, you just hit the paste command. Or I should say paste button. And there you can see that it put in that save file. Now you just hit enter here. And I didn't actually create the save file because mine was out there. But for you folks out there that are doing a fresh install first time, you'll just merely create the save file. At this point, all I need to do is get rid of this line and then go back to the client. So now we're going to go to our FTP button, and the first thing that this kind of defaults up here for me because I have connected to a lot of systems. You can see that in my system tray. But what I would do, just to make it really simple, and it's just real easy, double click on here and then just delete it. Then what you're going to do is you're going to put in your IP address of your system that we're doing the install on. So in my case, I'm doing my development system. And then here I'll put in my user ID and password. And then I'll click the FTP button. And there you can see we're actually sending the data. Alright, you can see we've got a successful upload. Now we just keep going along the tabs. Click number 4, and now you can see we put a restore library command in our clipboard. We're going to restore all the library and all the objects that we need. So we go over again to the 5250, hit paste, and then we hit enter. Okay, and you can see we had 107 objects restored. Perfect. So we're getting there. We're almost done. So now we go back to our client, click on tab number 5, the install, and now you can see we're going to do a call and actually install all the program objects and the like in the next step. So here we go. Again, it's in our clipboard. We paste it, hit enter. In a bit you'll see some messages at the bottom, and that'll give you a good indication that the install process is running normally. And there you go, you can see it. Okay, you can see a screen has popped up, what we refer to as the config performance navigator screen. At this point your installation is not done. I add that note here because we've had folks sometimes hit the F3 button and they've stopped the install. So you don't do anything here. I'll put a note up here that the performance data library, we recognize the last library that had the collection services data process, and we automatically populate that field. We do that. Also, the purge days, you can see we have a big number in there. We recommend at least 7 days for you guys out there. Sometimes you might see 4 days. We like to see at least a week out there. At this point, we just hit enter. If my enter will work, I gotta click on my 5250 screen here. I'll hit enter again. There we go. Okay, and now you see a next screen that comes up that basically are the 5 jobs that help us manage the historical data. We're almost done. We hit enter again. We'll see a contact screen, more enter, and look at that. We have a successful installation. Now what I like to do at this point, once I've got a good install, is I'll just go back and do my menu again. So let me do my mpglib/perfnav, and this is just a peace of mind thing that I do on every install, is I'll take that option 7, and then I like to go out here and just see that my release, and here you can see here 16.1e has been installed. So that's just a peace of mind thing. At that point you're done, and you've just done a successful PN400 install.